introduce you to the crypto Rican queen. She's the expert in crypto, the dopest you've ever seen. She's got the knowledge, she's got the game unlocked. When it comes to cryptocurrency, she's always on top. With a consultation, she'll make you understand the ins and outs of blockchain, is all in her hands. She'll break it down for you, step by step, no doubt. Crypto Rican queen, she's the one you can't live without. Crypto Rican queen, she's the crypto subject matter expert. Contact her for a consultation, she's a crypto injector. She'll teach you all there is to know, she's the real deal, no bluff. Crypto Rican queen, she's the one you gotta.
How you doing? This is Mari Cruz, bringing the gap between the rich and the poor, coming from the great state of Texas. And I'm here today with Mark from Efani. And tell us a little bit about you. Can you introduce yourself and your role at Efani?
Yeah, well, first, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. And so my name is Mark Kreitzman. I have been in the cybersecurity industry now for I think cybersecurity at least for 23, 24 years at this point. And the last 7 years have been dedicated to mobile security. And then the last 5 or 6 years, I've mixed that also with an interest in crypto and Bitcoin, blockchain, and now I've kind of tied it all together with Efani. And so I'm the general manager of Efani, one of the original two of Efani. Where we started and worked, for free as a startup, not knowing whether we were going to survive, under a different name. And when things looking like they were going to go well, we changed the name to Efani. And we just had our 4-year anniversary about a month or two ago. And so Efani now, under that name, has been around for over 4 years.
Wow. So that's amazing. Like 4 years of an amazing company. So what was the inspiration behind starting the company?
Yeah, so that's probably the best part of the story is that in 2017, 2018, I was in between startups. So I've been doing startups really since around 2001. And I happened to be working on one, and it was, I didn't know if it was going to go well, but, I was driving to see my father in the Arizona desert, and my mobile account got stolen away, which was a SIM swap, a mobile SIM swap. So they happened to get me right in the middle of the desert between Phoenix and Tucson. And anyone's ever been on that stretch of the highway, there's nothing out. There's no Walmarts. There's, even the gas stations are sparse. And so I had a choice. I knew when my mobile account service died, I knew what had happened. Somebody had stolen my mobile account away, which they can then use to do password resets. And so I just had to decide that I was going to just drive the 45 minutes to my father's house. And I pulled up, the Wi-Fi connected right in front of his garage, and 6 password reset notifications went up my phone. And so up until that point, I thought like, oh, maybe I didn't pay. Did I not pay my bill? Did I not, was it something else? And then all these password resets hit. So I knew exactly what had happened. So I ran in. I hadn't seen my father in a while, and he's like, "Oh, great to see you." And I'm like, "Yeah, I got an emergency." And I called the carrier, and it turns out that my mobile account had gotten stolen away, and I had to go through this extra verification. They thought I was the hacker. I got through that, and then I'm like, "By the way, how am I even talking to you on my cellular service?" And he's like, "Oh, that's a great question." And then he comes back, and he said, "They ported your service back." So they tried to hide it. So they had control of my mobile account for 61 minutes. They got into 2 cloud accounts. They got into a crypto wallet. They got into an email account. And fortunately, the banking account they got into was one where I barely had any money in it. So it was just because I had multiple accounts. And so I got kind of lucky there. But it looks like that maybe after 61 minutes, they thought, well, we better port it back and try and hide. And that's when I was like, and then I didn't sleep for 90 days because I was afraid to even turn Wi-Fi on. Because if I woke up at 3 in the morning, 5 in the morning, I was a victim at that point. So I would look at my phone and see that is there LTE. And because I thought, man, they could every time I go to sleep, they could port this out, port it back in. And so I sought out and I tried to find somebody had to solve this. I thought somebody out there had to solve it. So I found one guy that had solved it. He happened to be in Northern California, and I got connected with him. It turns out that he's a guy that was at the time working with three other people building a large Bitcoin ATM network. And so they were known for building the first Bitcoin ATM. And then they built a network out of it. Last year, they ended up selling the business off of it. So we hit it off with the crypto part of it, hit it off because he was a victim. And he basically created his own virtual network operator offer just for himself. So it's a very, very expensive way of like securing your account. And so I said, I've never experienced this amount of pain. I haven't slept in 3 months. And I've been building these companies, and there has to be other people that have suffered. And so we were under the name Don't Port for many months, and then we ended up changing the name to Efani. And so basically, what we're trying to do is take being a victim into now trying to protect everybody else. And it does turn out there's a lot of people that are becoming victims, and if anything, it's getting worse. And so, it's good for our company. So we get sort of free marketing because there's so many people that become victims. They go and post on Telegram and Facebook and Twitter. Of course, we don't want to see people become victims. But yeah, it's just I still have PTSD from it to this day.
That's a horrible, I mean, what a horrible story. So, did you ever find out how these people got your information? Was it some kind of data breach? Because I don't think people understand how prevalent this is. And I've been saying the statistics that every 8 out of 10 attempts to steal. I mean, that's 80% rate. And did you lose any money? Because I bet people want to know, did you lose any money? What did they do with that with your when they got into your phone?
So I didn't lose any cash. I lost some crypto. And this was back before YubiKeys, or before I even knew about YubiKeys at the time. They got into an iCloud account. They got into an email account. And at the time, I was thinking, like, did I get hit by a pro or an amateur? Because that would have made a huge difference. Because if it was a pro, what they could have done is they could have synced up when they got into one of my email accounts. They could have daisy chained other emails potentially, but they could have synced up an app and downloaded 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years worth of emails. And then when you think about what's in some of your emails, there's tax information, medical, wire transfer, what banks you use, crypto accounts you use, authenticator apps you use, like all those notifications tell a history of your whole financial, medical, tax life. And so in the end, I figured out that it was an amateur. But it's an interesting question, and I think it's actually the first time that I've been asked this. And so what I ended up doing is I happened to be traveling up in South Lake Tahoe, and there's a third-party phone store up there that was selling the service, the carrier that I got SIM swapped on. So I went in there and I actually had to trick them to find out, because what happens when you get SIM swapped is the carrier goes into liability protection mode. So they don't want to tell you anything. And you have to basically have to sue them if you want to get any information out of them. So what I did is I went into a third-party store and I said, I travel a lot, and I promised this phone store employee that I was going to send him a thank you gift card, but I can't remember what store it was that helped me out. And it happened to be a day where I thought I lost my phone. They helped port my service over to a new phone. I then found my phone. They helped me port it back. And so I'd love to know who they are so I could send them a thank you card. And so they were like, oh, well, that's so nice of you to do that. Like, yeah. So they went on their computer and looked, and they gave me the employee's ID that did the port out. And so I called the carrier and confronted them and said, hey, you've been lying to me this whole time. Because it ended up being a store out of Memphis, Tennessee, third-party store. And they blamed it on me. They said that I must have allowed somebody to get a copy of my driver's license. And that's a whole nother story where I reported potentially my driver's license being stolen to the California DMV. California froze my license. They put a freeze on my license so that if I wanted to renew it, I couldn't. So I had to meet with the DMV investigator, which I didn't know they existed. But what happened when I confronted the carrier and said, "Hey, I got the employee ID. I know the city they're in, the store. I'm going to continue to invest." That's when they told me the whole story, which was the third party store had an employee that was their last day, and they hit three people, and that I was happened to be one of those lucky three people. They ported three of us out. They ported it back, trying to cover their tracks, knowing that they were going to leave employment at the end of that day. And so the only
Wow.
thing I can think of is that they must have found me like on a YouTube interview talking about crypto, or I was on a couple websites. I had one or two articles. And so they may have found me and just thought like, looked up my name. Oh, he's a customer of ours. I have access to it. And all they had to do was lie to the computer and say that I was standing there with my driver's license, 4,000 miles away. And so that was, kind of scary that all somebody had to do was just lie to the computer. And, as part of the process is they call their back office and say this person wants to change their phone. And all they got to do is tell them, like, yeah, they're standing here, they're showing me their driver's license. And that's all it took at that time.
That's horrible. I mean, seriously. There was a lady that I was talking about this, and she said, "I have two phones. I don't think I can get uh SIM swap." Like
Yeah.
like she has one phone, and I wanted to ask that question. One phone that is not connected to internet most of the time, and then one phone for, you know, and then that's a passcode. And I
Yeah. So
said, well,
certainly, yeah, I mean, people, I mean, there's a couple things that people believe that, aren't completely correct. So some people think that if they have like the Coinbase account on one phone and then the authenticator app on another phone, that somehow that's more secure and it's completely irrelevant. Earlier today, I had somebody tell me that, well, I can't be SIM swapped because I set a SIM pin on my phone. And then I had to tell them, well, that only works on a physical SIM that's in your phone, and all it's doing is locking that SIM to your phone. Because if you physically get your phone stolen or lost, a hacker is going to pull the SIM out and put it in another phone. If you have a SIM pin, you pull that SIM out, that SIM card goes dormant. You have to put it back in the original phone that you locked it to, but then they can't log into the phone if you put a passcode on the phone. But the reality is that these SIM swap hackers, they don't care if you have the most expensive secure phone, if you have NSA level encryption on it. They don't care whether you have your authenticator app on this other phone that doesn't have cellular access to it. They don't care if you have the best antivirus or the best VPN, because all they're doing is telling the carrier, stop pointing to this phone and point it over to the SIM in my phone. And so all that investment you made in a secure phone, secure phones, secure operating system, VPNs, everything is completely out of the equation. So that's irrelevant. And the other myth is that they say, well, you got to have really complex passwords. But again, to like a SIM swapper, he doesn't care because all he's using the forgot password function. That's what he's doing. Like your password could be password one, or it could be 20 characters of the most complex password in the history of creating passwords. Either way, that SIM swap hacker, once he steals your mobile account away, is just going to all the top crypto apps, banks, crypto exchanges, and putting your email IDs that he knows of you and just saying forgot password. And then he's hoping that it's just going to send you an SMS, which is now going to go to his phone and then reset it. And then if it says enter your 6-digit authenticator app to that SIM swapper, then now he knows, okay, now you've downloaded an authenticator app. So now he's going to go and just reset that.
mm,
And as long as if he has control of your mobile account and then gets control of your email, then he can then attempt to take over any other app, including authenticator apps. And so my rule of thumb is that, let's say today you have an iPhone 12 and you have your authenticator app on there, or even you have the authenticator app on a different phone. But you go out tomorrow and you buy an iPhone 15. So obviously you could move everything on that 12 to the iPhone 15. And anything that can be moved like that or reassigned to like an authenticator app, what that means is a hacker can do that once they take control of your mobile account. It's just that instead of moving it from a phone in one hand, your left hand, over to the phone in your right hand, he's sending certain apps from the phone in your left hand to the phone that's 3,000 miles away. Could be your next door neighbor, could be somebody that you know. My guess is a lot of these SIM swap hacks are actually inside jobs, in the sense that they know you well enough that they know that you're on crypto, that you've been promoting a particular exchange, that you may have promoted like email IDs, and anymore, like there's AI search tools that if you have somebody's mobile number, like I don't need to know your name anymore. If I have your mobile number, then I can get your name, I can get your whole work history, everything. Or if I have your name, I can get your mobile number. And then there's the AI search tools that will then link that with every email you've ever used or known to use, every landlines, mobile numbers, then your family information. And so these AI search tools at this point are like kind of crazy. Like it's literally, I had a guy that's into the AI and had worked on the ChatGPT project. And I asked him, like, do you think this is going to be an issue? And he said, well, with the advancement of these AI tools, if somebody's going to come out with a hacker AI tool where you could actually ask somebody, like, what's the best way? Can you SIM swap, or can you get into this person's Coinbase account, where it actually then goes and looks at the profile on them, like who's their carrier, what's their mobile number, and how would they SIM swap it, and be able to actually maybe even attempt to do it someday. So I try not to think about things like that. So that's going to be,
Oh
it's
my
it's
God.
going to be scary, like the impersonation. I watched a Black Mirror episode the last 24 hours. I had watched Black Mirror. I watched the episode 1 of season 6, and about how it was sort of like a Netflix series where it was an AI tool that was using CGI and building a TV show live off this person's live.
Yes, I remember that one.
Yeah,
And
and I
and the
was sitting
lady
there
didn't even
thinking,
know, and then she starts seeing her life right there, Netflix, and then she
yeah.
couldn't get rid of it. Like,
So I started to think about how this could be applied into like hacking.
oh my
And
God.
and I've played around with AI tools so I've used AI to create my own voice in AI so that I could just simply write a script, and it's my voice. And I used a free tool, and even though it wasn't perfect, it was like, wow, this is free. And so only with like 20 minutes, like, because what you can do is, like, let's say I want to create a voice of an influencer. Well, these tools will scrape a YouTube video or like multiple videos of like somebody's voice. And if you have like 30, 40 minutes of somebody's voice, these AI tools can create a voice profile and then, write a script in the style of that influencer. And then you could create a video, you create an avatar of them, like, and so when I watched that Black Mirror episode, I was
A
thinking like,
deep
wow,
fake, right? Because now we have deep fakes.
yeah.
We have basically a type of clone of somebody else that looks like that person. And if you already have the voice and you mesh that, is, I mean, we're like in amazing times, but scary times too.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I've actually um, played around with the AI tools. And we have I don't know, 13 or 14 like short AI video clips on our YouTube short and on our YouTube shorts on our channel. And we wanted to play around with these tools just to see what state are they in terms of voice profiles, because when it comes down to it, if somebody can deep fake you for a verification, whether it's your cable, credit card, or anything, that's getting kind of scary. So, um,
Hmm.
it's something we have to worry about. Like it's advancing so rapidly.
Oh yeah. And most people don't know what is a deep fake, so I have to explain that. But yeah, wow, man. So I want I want to. Can you tell people what sets Efani apart from other companies in your industry? And is there anybody else that's doing what is offering the products and services that you are offering?
Yeah, so I'll start out with what a funny is, so people kind of get the rest of it. So we actually replace your mobile carrier. So we provide a secure mobile service to important people, is sort of our tagline. And what we do is very simple. We resell AT&T and T and Verizon. T-Mobile has just been hacked too many times, so right now we're reselling just AT&T and T and Verizon. And but the difference between like going directly to AT&T versus buying AT&T from Efani, there's a couple major things that are different. One is that we retain exclusive control over your account, and we lock out all the AT&T employees, their stores, third-party stores, call centers, and all the other resellers from having any access to that account. And we also remove your personal information. So AT&T or Verizon is never given your information. They don't have your name, your address, your payment information. And even if you're already on AT&T and T and then you port to Efani and then you use AT&T with us, we have our own process where we delete that information. So what we're doing is we're eliminating all of the people that can be tricked, like at the phone stores, third-party phone stores, all the people that can be bribed, um, the people that can be part of an organized group of people where they've got a friend that works at a third-party phone store where they can do like fake verifications, because some of those people they have a camera on their back, right? So, they may tell somebody out, call their buddy and say, hey, here's all the information. You come in here and you ask this specific, tell me this name, fake look at a license, somebody's driver's license. So they're covered by the
Wow.
camera. And then also um, removing like the call center people. So like when you call the 800 number uh, and you verify and you give them a PIN, you give them that information, they have your screen right there. And so they can record that, they can write it down, they can compile that and sell that information to hackers. And so at this point, there's SIM swap forums where you can go into these forums and you can say like, I want to attack this person, and people can, hackers can bid on it. Like I'll do this for 150 bucks, I'll do this for 3,000. And so
Wow.
it's becoming sophisticated because there's enough money in it, especially with crypto. And, crypto can be stolen and then sent through tumblers and, try and hide, the trace of it, change Bitcoin
Hmm.
into, a privacy token, change it out, clean it. And so it's
Monero, yeah.
easy money. Yeah. So it's easy money for these people, and it's very, very difficult to get caught. And so we're eliminating all those people. And so we become the 7x24 customer support through voice chat, and support and email as well. And our resources are more on the verification side. So carriers want to make, when you leave them, they want to make that experience super cheap because they have thousands of people that join and leave them every day. So they want to make, when you decide to leave, they want to make that super cheap. So what we've done is we've invested our resources so that when you leave, that's where our verification is the most powerful, most
Mm.
complex, and you have to actually go through 11 layers of verification to allow us to port out your number if you wanted to leave a
Wow.
fine. So it's not meant to be difficult. It's a lot of the steps are simple, like what email do we have on file for you? What's your payment method? What's the last 6 digits of your payment method? What's the last 8 characters of your crypto account? We may do things like send you a credit of Ethereum and say verify how much we sent, or send a credit to your credit card.
Mm.
We sent you an email, read that email. And you can actually add, so for our verification, you can add a 4-digit PIN or 6-digit, or you can add a phrase. that nobody else would know and that you're always going to remember. And so you can customize your verification with this. And so our emphasis is on securing that account, not only for like a port out, but like if somebody were to call up and say, my name's Mark, and can you give me all my call records? One, we don't collect
Mm,
call records, we don't collect SMS records. So what we would have to do is we'd have to verify that person. They have to give us a form or request. We then request that information from the carrier. The carrier would
mm.
deliver it to us, but would have no name attached to it. So, and then we would deliver it to the person.
Wow.
So, because a lot of these SIM swapping are multiple steps now. Because the carriers train their people like, hey, like this is kind of dangerous to port something out. So what they'll do is they'll call up and they get verified, and they'll be like, I want to change the email on my account, or I want to add an email. I got married and I want to add my wife's email to the account. And so
Mm,
that's less threatening to that call center person. And then they get an email added to it. And so what they do is then 3 days later, they call back in as the wife, the fake wife, and say, like, this is my email. And now they're giving them information that actually gets them verified officially. And now they can say, like, oh, I want to change numbers and change the password on the account. One of the
wow.
fastest growing methods, and Bart Stevens got hit. He's the CEO of Blockchain Ventures. He got hit for 6.3 million. People can Google this, but he announced it in like May. He lost $6.3 million. Somebody impersonated him, and then they got a phone and a line off his account. So then what they do is they go home with that new phone and the line, and then now they call the 800 number. Well, they're calling from a line now that's on his account. Now, he has no idea this line exists, but they call up and they're like, hey, yesterday I bought a phone and I got this new line. And of course, the rep's like, oh, wow, thanks for your business. Appreciate that. Like, how can I help you? It's like, well, I want to switch my lines now. I want my old line to be on the new phone, and I want my new line to be on the old phone. And so these are like this is a very crafty way now of, because if somebody buys a phone off of your account, like you don't know about it until you get the bill. Then you'd be like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
I normally pay, $90. Why is it now $1,090?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so they're getting really crafty about it. So that's a soft sort of, they're using the commission incentive of the floor rep to sell them a phone and a line, and then calling the 800 number and saying, oh, switch these. This has been a very, very, every time, like when I talk to a victim, I'll ask them a couple questions. I'll be like, oh, I'm like, yeah, a really popular method is, they order a phone off your account. And it's like 50% of the time, they'll be like, that's exactly what they did to me. They got like a new iPhone off my account, and then they switched the lines. And so imagine you wake up tomorrow and your mobile service is actually working. Now you call your
So it's
mother.
not the normal swim. Basically, it's not the normal sim swap where you lose completely. No, it's one sim exchange for another, and now you think it's working, so you don't even know that you have another phone.
Yeah,
That's
so I talked
crazy.
to a victim. Yeah, I talked to a victim last week, and I explained this, and he's like, that's exactly what happened to me. He's like, the only reason I knew is because I called my mother, and my mother said, when did you change your mobile number? And he's like, what do you mean? I've been using this same number for a decade. And she's like, no, but your name didn't pop up. This is a totally different number. So they got a phone and a line off his account, and then the hackers had him switched. So he just woke up the next day and he could text and he can get his data and he can make phone calls, not realizing that he was actually calling now under a different number. So these are the
Mhm.
kind of sneaky things that's happening. And so, I travel a lot. I travel international, and I'm a past victim. So I can't even imagine like flying to like Vietnam or Japan, where I don't speak the language, and then landing and finding out that my mobile account doesn't work. And now I got to figure out, I got language barriers
Mhm.
of, how do I tell people I need to borrow their phone, or I can't call an Uber to get to my hotel. I got to find out, how to get to a place, then I got to call my carrier. The carrier is going to think I'm a hacker calling from a different country. And so, yeah, the international travelers is like a kind of a no-brainer for, getting on Efani.
Wow. I'm just flabbergasted. I'm like, and it's
Yeah.
like the more I'm talking to you, the more I'm noticing that is worse. So basically, in a simple, if you can simplify it, what are the key features of your secure mobile that ensure privacy and security? Just
Okay. I'm
simple
glad you
for
asked
people
that because
to.
I just realized as a passive victim, I get so passionate about this. It's easy for me to kind of like go veer off path. So I'll finish
Mhm.
one of your earlier questions, which is, so we replace your mobile service with AT&T or the Verizon network. We eliminate all of their employees and third parties from having any access. So you're getting privacy. You're getting the SIM swap security, so your mobile account can never get stolen away. We don't sell anybody's data, and then we back it up with $5 million of insurance. Now, the cellular plan that we sell you is, and I'll use AT&T as an example, is you get voice data text in US, Canada, Mexico. For the priority speed of the data, you get 40 gigabits. It also includes the Wi-Fi calling and SMS feature, which means that anywhere you are in the world. So if you're in Singapore, London, Rio de Janeiro, if you're behind a Wi-Fi network and somebody calls your US mobile number, it will ring and it's free. And also you can call any US mobile number or text, and that's also free. So that's all included. And then we also, as part of our price, you get international data roaming. So whether it's a vacation or you're traveling, again to Singapore or London for work, you just let us know. We provide you with LTE 5G for that trip and say, have a great trip, stay secure, and that's all part of the price. So what we're trying to do is create a package of the cellular security and privacy insurance so that if you need to protect money, your crypto, your reputation, you'll never leave. And that you have that value of, here's the price, you get all these wonderful things in one package, and then therefore you're never gonna want to leave us. And so, that's really it. I mean, we're a mobile service provider with security, privacy, and insurance.
Okay. Okay, that actually is amazing. And how do you guys keep up with the evolving threats? Because as you mentioned, this is not they start most of this, it used to be like, hey, just change it for this phone, you lost completely network coverage, and now it's like one SIM change to another. How do you keep yourselves abreast of what's happening to protect your customers?
Yeah, so on the plan that we have now, I mean, people will say like, "Oh, you have great technology. I really like your technology." And I had the same conversation with a career cybersecurity technologist actually just before this call.
Mhm.
And so actually the way that we secure people is we've removed technology. And what I mean by that is that as a mobile service provider, we have portals that can access any mobile operator in the US. So whether it's Mint Mobile, Google Voice, T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon, you give us a couple pieces of information, we go into our portals, and we can pull your mobile number over. We can port your number over, or we can give you a new one. But this is how scary the industry is that once you get qualified to be a mobile operator, even if you're like you do it in fraud, like you're given these powers to be able to pull people over. Now, once we pull a customer over to Efani, the technology then is stripped. So everything we do is manual. And so it's a very expensive way to operate, but that's how we secure. So the technology of like whether it's physical SIM or eSIM doesn't really matter to us because we've stripped the technology of like somebody else being able to easily like port you out. And so even things like, you want to travel international, we have to add that manually. Everything we have to do is manual. And even for like our customer support team, they're not given access to customer database. So there's tier one, tier two. So again, we've even stripped out technical access to our customer information from our tier one team. And all they do is when you call in, they log your request, they send it to a tier two, and the tier two is the only one that can do it. So right now, the threats that are coming that are they're for the SIM swapping and the security and the privacy of it, we handle it by actually stripping all that automation that all these other carriers have. And it's one reason why our price, is higher, just because the way we operate, we have to be very efficient at running inefficiently without all that tech. But that's what keeps people secure. It's I don't know if it's a good analogy, but for people who have seen the movie Independence Day, when the only plane that can carry the bomb into the alien ship is because it's a gas engine and it's not, it doesn't have electronics that can be shut down. At least that's my memory of the movie. That's us. We've stripped the tech out so it can't be hacked in a sense. Now we are working on a solution we call Black Seal, and Black Seal has cloud proxy. All your traffic goes through it, and the cloud actually acts as sort of the defense, and it can block location requests. It can detect IMSI catchers and stingrays, cell tower spoofing type things, and a whole host of other things. But it's a very difficult thing that we're trying to do, but we're trying to hopefully release that by the end of this year. But for now, our plan we call the safe plan. It for SIM swap protection, privacy, and insurance, it's down pat, works, and it protects against all the threats that are known against the SIM swapping methods.
Wow. Okay, wow. And you guys have like customer service 24/7. That's another thing that was like, wow.
Yeah, we get a lot of rave reviews on our customer support since I haven't had to call one of these carriers for so long, I didn't realize how bad it had gotten. But a lot of people say like they have to wait in queue for many minutes, and then they get connected with somebody who they kind of lose confidence in their carrier, and some people will call us up and say that they were able to SIM swap themselves, and where they're able to get like the carrier to actually text them their PIN, which kind of defeats the whole purpose. And so, our customer support, we try and pick up the phone every time and as quickly as we can, but there's multiple ways to get to us.
Okay. So I know you guys do a lot of things manual, but does Efani have any initiatives related to sustainability or corporate social responsibility?
Social responsibility in terms of,
Like sustainability or corporate social responsibility, the environment and that type of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, so in terms of trying to be like an environmentally friendly company, I mean, we can't really be any more environmentally friendly than we are today, just because we've actually eliminated the one office that we have, and everybody works remotely, and there's no commuting and things like that. Diversity, we're our team is extremely diverse, and not really without even try. I mean, we didn't really try to become diverse. It's just that we are, and so feel lucky about that. But in terms of our sustainability, profit wise, we've been profitable for a while, and we don't need to raise funds to survive. So we're a viable company all by itself and growing, and we'll probably be adding one person probably once a month or every other month at this point. We can only grow so fast. So in order to do all the security and privacy that we do, we can, we have to have a consistent growth pattern. So,
Mhm.
uh, we're very conservatively run company.
That's good. I'm just doing. Uh, that's not a lot of the companies cannot say that.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing that we
Anyway,
are against, and that's one of the reasons why it's one of the reasons I asked, because the one thing that it seems to be kind of this new thing is censorship. And so we don't do any censorship. And so we're anti-data collection. So the only data we collect is verification and payment information and nothing else. We don't like censorship, and so just sort of a forewarning that the carriers seem to kind of be getting into censoring how you use their mobile service. And
mhm,
there's been some
I noticed
articles
that.
about it's
Yeah,
like
and I
if you
think I
don't,
heard that there's some businesses, there's some was it T-Mobile, that if you are a business and you say certain stuff, you can get a fine or something. I don't know if that was true, but there's a lot of weird stuff happening with the mobile carriers, and I think people are not aware really, you know,
yeah. So
of what's
we're
happening.
yeah. So that's sort of like it's being talked about, and so we're not, if anything, so our CEO works with a team of people. He's gone to Washington, D.C. and talked about, the privacy legislation and anti-data collection. And so we're big, I guess maybe a lot of, and, most people in crypto are probably this way, they kind of think the same way that we kind of want the companies to kind of stay out of our business. So,
Yes, definitely, definitely.
yeah.
And the last question that I wanted to ask you is, what advice would you give individuals or businesses looking to enhance their mobile communication security?
So definitely you want to train your employees, your staff, what to do with their phone, like how to use it and what not to do with it. So obviously you don't want to be clicking on like random links and downloading pictures from people that you don't know, because they can hide code in there to where you click on a link and it executes code to get your device ID, your SIM number, your phone model, what carrier you use. Because then if they have that, they call the carrier and like, my iPhone 11 got stolen. Here's the device ID. That 800 rep already thinking like, well, this has to be him because he just knew all this info. Um,
Mhm.
you know, Make sure your employees are not like doing things like using their company email to set up their phone as well, or using like their Gmail account on Android. They set up and then they take that email and that's what they're using for like their bank account, their crypto account, because you're basically advertising your login, your username for a lot of proprietary accounts. And so usage is very key because everybody's got BYOD, like bring your own phone, bring your own carrier. It's like one of your employees could be walking in the office like not even knowing that they've got a spying device, on their computer, and it's connected to Wi-Fi, and then downloading information and feeding it to somebody. So, you have to worry about these kind of things. So there's, secure phones, de-Googled phones that are coming out that are becoming popular. And of course, Efani is going to make a business more secure and protect their employees from, getting SIM swapped and having, their corporate email broken into or back end systems broken into, and, or their crypto or their money stolen.
Well, we will, I will put the information for people to contact you. And thank you for coming and answering all these questions about your company. And again, if you're worried about what can happen to your phone, Efani can solve the problem. So I always tell people, use your resources and don't wait till it happens, because once it happens, if you get SIM swapped, the provider is not going to give your money back if you lose any, right? There's no anybody besides Efani that if you get SIM swap will get your money back, right? Right?
You'll get an apology letter at most. You'll have to take them through arbitration court because most of them, if not all of them, it's slipped in arbitration clauses to your usage policy, and you'd be lucky to get 40% back of what you got stolen, and that's after attorney fees to handle your arbitration. So it's you want to avoid it altogether.
Yeah, and that's only the money part, right? Because if they get your identity, which will be very easy to do,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Lines of credits and all that stuff. That is not an easy thing to stop.
Yeah, or get 3 years worth of emails and then sell that on the dark web for the next decade.
The ins and outs of blockchain is all in her hands. She'll break it down for you step by step, no doubt. Crypto Rican queen, she's the one you can't live without. Crypto Rican queen, she's the crypto subject matter expert. Contact her for a consultation, she's a crypto injector. She'll teach you all there is to know, she's the real deal, no bluff. Crypto Rican